Hello, this is the 112th Test from the Future, an experimental podcast from the year 2223, which we are sending from our present to yours. My name is Dirk.
And my name is Simon.
And we're putting the past in podcast. Before we start with our topic, you have sad news.
I do. We always record nearly always record at my place. So, you are the one coming here, so I don't teleport as often. But when I do, I rely on my bookmarks, of course, and the sad news is I've lost them all.
Oh, no.
Yep. And, because of the way I take my privacy seriously, I didn't have them synced with any kind of cloud service. And my local copy I don't know how it went, but it's gone. And so, yeah.
So you have no backup, no savings?
No. And, a few places, of course, I do remember. Like I remember either by name or by address, so those I've been able to add back in. Mm-hmm. But there were a few that, I just, I don't know the actual address, and it's maybe been a long time. So some of them, like my childhood home, haven't been there in such a long time. Mm-hmm. I don't remember the address and don't even remember where it is, which is the kind of thing you think, how could you even forget that? But I'm pretty old, so.
But who remembers that stuff, You just teleport there.
Exactly. When I was a kid, I did actually need to walk around a lot more. Mm-hmm. Like, I knew the neighborhood and stuff like that. But I've not lived there in so long. And the few times I did visit, out of curiosity or whatever, I teleported there. And now that I don't have those bookmarks anymore, it's gone.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't know where anything was, Mm-hmm. I know this is in Botswana or this is where it's hot or whatever.
Right. By country or... Yeah.
Maybe, but other than that, I can totally imagine. Like, you don't really need to know where everything is, right? Because you have the bookmark.
Yeah. That's exactly, you don't need to remember the address. That's what the bookmark is for.
Yeah, exactly. You just teleport there. It's not like you have to walk there or whatever,
No. Exactly. If it was around here, the bakery just down the street, okay, I didn't ever have that in my bookmarks because I did always just walk the 3 minutes to get there or whatever. But, anything further, or most things further afield.
But is it completely wiped also your whole teleportation history? So it's not
exactly. I thought of that too. When I saw the bookmarks were gone, I was like, okay, that's a hassle, but at least, a whole lot of places would be in the history. History is also completely cleared out.
I can also imagine
sorry, go on.
No, but maybe the names were gone, but the locations were still there. So you could basically visit every place that's in your history to check out.
Do some regular expressions, deduplicate it, just have just go to each place once, not have to go to somewhere. Or even by frequency, see, okay, I've been to this place 100 times.
True.
Maybe work it out that way, maybe realize it's important. None of it. All gone. And that's not the kind of thing that should happen.
No.
And has never happened before.
No, that sucks. Mm-hmm. Did you speak to the company?
Yeah. So they found out the reason. They found the cause even, and they'll take care that it doesn't happen again. So it's basically the reason it's a bug, yeah? Mm-hmm. And it didn't come up in any of their testing because everyone syncs their bookmarks to the cloud. Who would not?
Yes.
So the fact that they got deleted was a bug, but it never came up in any of their testing because they never tested.
Okay. I have it synced. Yeah.
Pardon?
I have it synced. Yeah. So I could use a teleporter anywhere.
That's why you would have it synced, exactly. That you that you can use other ones easily without either needing to remember the address or the name or whatever. But because I wanted to keep that information private, I didn't. And this is the downside.
Anything else you're sad about specifically, except your childhood?
There was a really nice restaurant I went to just last week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But that I should be able to find out because, I went there with some friends, I can ask them.
Fair enough.
For the place. Stuff like that, more recent stuff, shouldn't be an issue for me to work out where it was, I, in theory, could have remembered the name myself, but I totally didn't. For stuff from my own childhood, several decades ago, especially when the people who would know about it are no longer alive. Okay.
Yeah. But it's also with a restaurant, it's in this case, you're the only one that lost your bookmark, but I don't think anybody really knows, where it is,
No, sure. But they'll have a bookmark for it themselves, or it'll be in their history.
Or, but you didn't all teleport to your place and then teleport there, for example. You would be no, okay. Because often I have no idea. Somebody just says, "Hey, let's meet up here." Mm-hmm. You teleport there. Sometimes I've been to restaurants and then I've been back and I don't even know which country we were.
Sure, exactly, and you maybe you remember the food, maybe you remember the decor, but you didn't even look out the window, so you don't even have landmarks to go by.
And it's like, this was a really nice sushi place. Doesn't mean it's in Japan, It could have been anywhere.
Exactly, because they can teleport the fish. For example, if it's a sushi restaurant, they can teleport it from anywhere as well.
There's been places that actually change their location. They just basically teleport their business somewhere else.
Sure.
And then, but they take their teleportation ID. So you go there, you still visit the same place.
They have a redirect setup. So you don't have to update your bookmarks. It just takes you through.
Exactly, that works really well. And then they change location, and it's like they can be wherever the weather is warm, for example, or cold.
Yeah, or exactly, depending on whatever fits in the case of restaurants, whatever fits the cuisine, and so on.
So you have any plan? You're gonna just start fresh, gathering.
I'm gonna take that opportunity because there is no way of getting it back. Okay, I've accepted that. Take it as an opportunity to start fresh. Because there must have been that bookmark. Those bookmarks were built up over many decades. There were so many in there that I never had any intention of going back to.
Maybe you can keep it like super clean.
Super lean, yeah.
Yeah, it's like maybe just like 5 locations and then have everything else.
Or at least, add them as I go. But then if I can maintain it like once a quarter maybe, go through and say, am I ever going to go back to this place again? And if not, remove it.
Yeah, otherwise because at one point you're going to want to go some place and then you have so many bookmarks you don't find anymore. That happens to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Well, then good luck getting the bookmarks back up.
Thanks.
But today is not about bookmarks, it's about Alipedia.
It is. Was it last episode? We mentioned that we were going to discuss it. We even asked people if they had any things they wanted us to look up.
I think it was before we went to Word Messing.
So a couple of episodes ago. Sorry, I've jumped ahead a little bit. Maybe you describe what Alipedia is first.
Sure. It's basically the source of all information about everything ever. That's basically their slogan.
Yep.
And it's basically completely digital, and you can basically look it up on every device. Most people just use their lens for it, and it contains every information about everything that existed, that currently exists, every little detail from the tiniest animal to the biggest company, everything is on there.
Yeah.
And
we've mentioned it often in passing, but now we're actually going to go into depth.
And also when we're doing our preparation, because we do actually prepare for these episodes, we often use actually Alipedia to look up stuff. We think, hey, we should talk about this, and then we don't really know much about it. So
it's something we knew long ago, but we've forgotten the details, so we look at it to refresh our memory.
And also if we have like somebody asks us a question about something, and we often use that to look it up.
Yeah, it's especially useful because I know my memory, especially if it's not something I've thought about in a while, my memory isn't to be relied upon. And so it's really useful to have this external source that is trustworthy, reliable, so I don't have to rely on my own memory, I can rely on it.
Yeah. And the nice thing is that it basically automatically summarizes everything that was ever recorded. But the entries on Alipedia are done by people.
Right, written by humans,
Yeah, exactly. And actual humans. I think for a while this was actually AI.
Yeah, that's how I understood it, because especially there was so much information to be summarized that for a while it made sense that AIs would handle that. But then by now, I think we've mentioned before, AIs don't do that kind of, how would you put it? It's too low for their abilities.
Yeah, they're more too smart, actually.
They're too smart, exactly. So rather than AIs doing that kind of thing, it's gone back to humans. Writing and summarizing and filling out all the information.
It is essentially for humans anyway, because all the artificial intelligence and robots, they don't need that.
They have instant access to everything, exactly, all knowledge. They don't need to read these summaries.
Yeah, and they basically have it as part of their build, and for us, we basically have this outsourced to technology, so we can't remember everything. So we need this external global hard drive that has all the information about everything, and then actually done by humans, which makes it feel kind of I don't know. You feel like you have a connection with whatever is written there, because this was written by some other person.
Yeah.
Maybe the name, it's kind of funny, like Alipedia. It's
it's a portmanteau, of Encyclopedia and AliBaba.
Yeah, exactly. And AliBaba, they're the big company behind Alipedia.
Mm-hmm.
So they're basically, they pay for hosting, they pay for moderation, all the technology is basically, it's owned and paid for by them. So it's actually one of the very, very few things that are completely free.
Mm-hmm. No cost for us to use it.
I mean, the only thing they require is you need to connect your personal ID.
Of course, yeah. But that makes perfect sense, that you get to see the best true facts for you, that you don't see misinformation or
it's basically personalized.
Facts. Yeah.
It's like, not everything is relevant for me, and not every perspective on everything is really necessary for me. So you log in, AliBaba knows who you are, and then Alipedia gives you exactly that information that you need based on their algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's, and then again, completely free.
Yeah.
So about the format of today.
Right, we're going to, in response to the emails, we're going to look up things people suggested. We can go back and forth like we've done in the past when we have long lists.
Yeah. It's basically what Simon was saying or about to say is we've asked people to send us things to look up on Alipedia.
Right. Like 2 episodes ago, yeah?
Yep, exactly. And so we've gotten some emails. Some people asked for several things. Some people just asked for one thing. And the list is too long for one episode.
Sure. We're not going to look up everything.
But we will just pick a few random things, and then the lookup feature is really fast, and it has like a summary for dummies up front usually, so we don't need to read the whole entry.
Right.
But I thought before we go into this, I think we have to talk about the rumors, about some, let's say,
conspiracy theory-minded folk.
Yeah, they say that Alipedia is altering the content and that way rewriting history.
Right.
So it's basically by them being in the middle, providing everything. There's constant rumors that are saying they're influencing the content, what is shown, what is registered, and so on. And at the same time, because everything that's in Alipedia, a lot of it is based on the actual recordings that are managed by Faceplant, and Faceplant is also being accused of tinkering with the recordings.
Yeah.
There's basically 2 big companies being involved that are, there are.
Yeah. And it's not so crude that they're being accused of falsifying information, but that they're, especially in the case of Faceplant, that they are, so surfacing the things that benefit them and hiding the things that don't.
Yeah.
And that leads to the supposed altering of the truth.
Exactly. And that's, we have to mention that. It comes up regularly and it's always debunked. But I think it's with a nice...
Faceplant's own security team proof that it's all lies.
Yeah, exactly. And the same with Alipedia. They've investigated and then said that this was not actually the case. But of course, with conspiracy theories, they're more fun when you think they're true. So they just keep popping up. It seems like a bit of an urban legend. You know? And
like when often it will come up and the argument will be, hey, I remember that this was different previously. And this doesn't match my memory.
Yeah.
So I know it's false. That's the argument often used. But as I mentioned, I know, for myself at least, as I get older, I do not rely on my memory because I know the things that I remember a certain way. So not even through Alipedia, but meaning through speaking with people, especially if we've not spoken in 10 years, we're catching up and we remember things differently.
Yep.
So that's why I know my own memory isn't to be relied on 100%. And that's why I trust Alipedia.
I've had discussions several times with Theo where he would say, oh man, this used to be different on Alipedia. But then, But
then you look it up and he's
Exactly. And then you check the history and he says, no, that used to be different on Alipedia. And then you check the history. No, see, the history says it was never like that.
We didn't mention it yet, but you just mentioned, for every article, there is a change history. So you can look back and see, because, some things are changed, like, so at least amended, like appended to, when new information. So just in the case of an actor, they're in a new film, that gets added to the list on their page, just as a simple example.
Amount of citizens in Frankfurt.
Exactly.
New baby was born, number got up.
Stuff like that. So it's always, and you can look back at that change history and see what's happened.
Exactly. So that's argument is always no, but it's popular. But yeah, so those rumors, they just keep on popping up. We don't really believe it, obviously. But it is still interesting to consider, like, if you would actually change what's written. You know,
but you mean change, like falsify?
Yeah, exactly. So if you would actually go back and say, oh, this woman was never president of Ecuador or something like that. Yeah.
This famous event actually happened 5 years later.
Yeah. Or this team never won the Champions League in ice hockey or something like that. And it's fun to imagine that being the case because, you know, we all love a good story.
Yeah, then you have like alternate histories, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, there were novels, there were films with that as the premise.
I kind of fail to see the necessity, though.
So, right, in real life, yeah. Like in a story, it's fun. You get to imagine a slightly different version of the world. But yeah, I can't imagine any benefit to doing that for real.
Or maybe like, you know, some food product, and then this was in the news that there was meat in it. You know, let's say cornflakes. This turns out to have actually meat in it.
Right,
you know?
right.
With meat being illegal, people
Right,
say
they're made of corned beef rather than corn, for example.
Yeah, good point.
Sorry, I'm speculating, yeah.
Or maybe that's what the name comes from.
Exactly.
Or maybe this was changed.
And then it could be the thing, right, that, so that would be a conspiracy theory, yeah? It was always made of corned beef. So it was, let me get this straight. The rumor is that they went back in Alipedia and said, actually, it was always made of corned beef as damage control, because actually it wasn't meant to be. But it turned out that there was some in there, and if they say it was always that way, they're not in trouble for accidentally giving people, pseudo beef in their breakfast cereal. Actually, it's okay.
I thought the other way around. Maybe this came up, this was found out, and then they went back a few weeks later and altered it in Alipedia to say this was never the case. It was always just corn. You know, people go like, wasn't there corned beef in it? Let's check Alipedia. Oh no, it wasn't.
Could go either way.
Okay. Well, I think that's pretty far-fetched anyway.
Really far-fetched, yeah. We got confused ourselves right now, so how would anyone keep that straight?
Exactly. Like if you want to cheat history, you really have to put some thought in it. Okay. Shall we go look at the list?
Yeah.
You want to go first?
No, you can go first.
The first one that came in pretty much immediately after we released the episode was an email from Alice. She lists a whole bunch of things.
I was going to say, yeah, lots and lots, but we can sprinkle them throughout, yeah.
Exactly. And but the first one she asked about was Apple. So she wanted to know more about Apple.
Sure, and I mean, I'm pretty sure it was a thing 200 years ago. It's a fruit, yes? So they've been around for definitely hundreds of thousands of years. I'm not entirely sure how that works. Definitely 200 years ago.
Exactly, as long as sorry, now I'm mixing things up. As Alipedia is concerned, this has been around forever. This fruit. It's not a new thing.
I mean, there are different varieties, you know. I think the last number I saw was 7,500 in the world. So there are different varieties of apple, of course, and you know, new ones are developed, hybrids, and so on and so on.
Maybe that's what she was interested in. Okay. Like Apple, as far as like the summary for dummies says, just it's a fruit you can eat.
Of course. Sorry, I'm going into too much detail. Yeah, right. The idea is to stick to the summaries. Yeah, well, that one I looked into because it was kind of the first on our list. But I haven't actually considered it. Where like, why would she ask about it if that's something that they already had in the time? I mean, Alice, if you want to know how many varieties we have now compared to how many, you need to specify.
Yeah, exactly. But you can have it produced by your Congo. You know, you program it as such. Apple comes out, you eat it.
Straightforward. Next one on the list is iPod. Again from Alice. She's asking us to look up iPod. Okay, let's look it up. Nothing.
No.
Nothing at all.
I don't find anything either.
No. I mean, we know what an iPod is.
Yeah, true actually.
From when was that? When we went to the we got that box of old tech from the museum. I think then we didn't know what it was, but some episodes later, I managed to get some power to it, and we worked out, actually, so it was for listening to music, and also, more importantly, podcasts, and even more importantly, our podcast, 'cause
Exactly.
we found an iPod there with...
We even initially thought it was pronounced iPod at the time,
Yeah,
right?
we mispronounced it. So, but okay, this is an interesting thing where, okay, we know it was a thing, you and I, from 200 years ago or more, but Alipedia has no record of it. And that does happen sometimes with things from the distant past.
Yeah, true.
Because if no one wrote about it, okay, it won't be in Alipedia.
So maybe we can
We could make an entry.
Yeah, if it passes the
review process,
quality criteria.
Of course, yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. Also, as far as we know, we have this one device. So as part of our write-up, we could say it was used to listen to tests from the future.
Yeah.
And we know that for a fact.
That's true.
We have evidence.
Let's hope it's basically, it's also classified as interesting enough.
Like, and noteworthy, yeah.
Yeah. And of course, it's from a long time ago. Who cares about it right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me scroll the list. Polar bears. Okay, that should be an easy one. Let me... Okay. This can mean two things. It's an animal.
Yep.
So like a big white bear. And it's a pulsating ice cream that bites you in the lip.
Whoa.
So those are the two things that polar bears are.
That's not around anymore, yeah? Like I haven't seen that when I've bought ice cream lately.
No, I haven't either. I'm curious now.
Yeah, is there a date on that? Like when was that around?
Let me check. Was last.
Is it current? Is it like long?
Yeah. At least the article as such is updated only a few days ago.
Ah, okay. Sure. Then it's the other way around that I'm not up to date on ice cream varieties. To be fair, I don't eat ice cream that often.
But I mean, then again, it's we don't know everything. That's exactly why we have.
That's why we look up at yeah.
So this was a really good question from Malia. Because we got to look up things that we don't know anything about.
We're learning new things too. This next one. So Crisp asked us Klingon. I need a better way of phrasing that. Crisp asked us to look up the word Klingon.
Yeah.
Let's go with that. Okay, here we go. Yeah, and a language of unclear origin spoken around the world.
I've heard this.
Yep, yeah, likewise. Remember back in kindergarten, the kindergarten teacher, she spoke to us in Klingon.
Okay. We learned it in school, actually. Yeah, there were French, Spanish, and Klingon.
Yeah. Which did you prefer of those three?
Definitely Klingon because it's spoken around the world.
Sure.
It's like it's one of the most taught second languages. So it's, I mean, of course, the origins translate everything to everything. But if you want to have like a whole natural conversation, it's just one of the most useful ones. Yeah, it's apparently growing as well. Because it's apparently relatively easy to learn compared to, for example, Spanish. That's what I heard.
Sounds legit.
Okay, this is from JC. They asked us about Amazon. I knew this one, but still.
Yep, likewise, but please look it up, check, confirm.
It's three things. It's a river in South America. It's an area in South America, partially covered by rainforest.
Yep.
And this is the third one, a tribe of female warriors.
Yep.
It's pretty cool. I wonder what JC...
Do those warriors live in the Amazon as well?
Let me...
if you check it out.
Let me... Oh, there's a lot of text on this. No.
It's fictional. They were a fictional tribe.
It says they lived in Greece.
Okay. So maybe one was named after the other.
Yeah, they say the river and the area are named after the tribe. Cool. So maybe in the end there's one thing anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, next one. So this is another from Alice. She asked for us to look up the word Google. To do that.
To search for Google.
To search for Google, let's look for that in Alipedia here. Nothing, no. I mean, it's suggesting maybe googly eyes. But there's nothing about Google and...
No, just recommendations.
It sounds a bit like Google. So googly eyes, that's a real thing, of course. Everyone knows them. But Google sounds like a bit like a nonsense word. Maybe like something a baby would say.
Or maybe she misspelled it. Maybe she meant goggle.
She meant goggle, sure.
Maybe she meant goggle.
Look up goggle? Yeah, sure. I mean, again, this is something we knew already. They're the kinds of glasses that you wear over your eyes when you dive underwater that are sealed around so that the water doesn't go into your eyes.
Yeah, okay. Maybe she mentioned that. Well, this are you seeing this fly?
Yeah, in been hearing it, and I even spotted it earlier landing on the microphone. It's a bit of a warm day, so I think that's why it's coming here through the window I had open earlier.
So this might come over on the recording, but there's a really pesky fly.
Yeah, that happens. Sorry about that.
Okay. Let's see if there's. Oh yeah, this one. I like this one. I looked up front.
Yeah.
Data protection from Arendt, and this is like summarizing it for dummies. It's a way in which big companies protect our data by sharing it among each other through secured channels.
Exactly.
So it's basically when we give a company our data, they share with a whole bunch of other companies, but they do it through secure channels. So that way our data is protected.
Exactly. We can't lose it. They've got a backup.
Yeah.
And they maintain checksums on that data, make sure no one's monkeying with it.
Yeah. And because it's shared with a whole bunch of companies, if something goes wrong with one of the companies, it's still there.
Exactly. There's no way for it to be erased.
Yeah, exactly. Your data is always somewhere, definitely.
Yeah.
And it is often sometimes where, I sign up for something and then they already know me.
Yeah, it's really convenient.
Yeah.
Next one is from 4. He asks us to look up Minecraft. And it's an area in Russia where you can create a whole new world.
Yeah. And I've been there a few times even.
Did you create a whole new world while you were there?
That sounds like a bit of a marketing slogan. Like a whole new world is really tricky, but it's really awesome because it's a combination. They have some technology there that can kind of let you use telekinesis without actually being able to master it, like in your case.
Right. It's like a headset that you wear.
Yeah, exactly. And then they have a massive amount of construction material, and you can basically, with your headset and with your ideas and your fantasy, you can basically put anything together. It's all a little bit clunky, because if you do it really fine grained, you're not getting anywhere anytime soon. But it's
so it's more coarse than real telekinesis, but you can build up fun things.
But apparently, it's if Thor asks us about it. It must have been around already back in the day.
I guess so, yeah. At least a precursor, perhaps.
Yeah, that's actually pretty impressive because like 200 years ago, did they have telekinesis?
No, definitely not. We spoke about that in a previous episode, but definitely not 200 years ago.
Okay, the next one is also from Alice, funnily enough. She asks about Thor.
About Thor the... Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's funny, like Thor asks us about Minecraft, and Alice asks us about Thor.
Sure.
Maybe they knew each other.
Perhaps, yeah.
Okay, Thor, it's a fictional historical character.
Okay.
It's apparently been in all kinds of different storylines.
Yep.
Yes, it's even in the Yoda versus Agent Smith movies.
One of the early ones, perhaps.
Yeah, I guess. Never noticed it. Okay, interesting. We get a question from and about somebody. Although the Thor asking us about Minecraft isn't actually on the air.
No, I mean, it can also be, some people name their kids after
the fictional character.
Yeah.
Or the other way around. Or the fictional character is named after this Thor.
It's also possible.
Cool. Well, nice to meet you, Thor.
Next one, there was no name on this, but someone asked us to look up bird poo frog. Sounds a bit like a joke. First I thought they were just messing with us, but I looked it up, and it's a real life frog. So,
really?
Yeah. Lives in rainforest craters, and it looks like bird poo, hence the name. And sure, it's thought to have evolved that appearance for protection. Animals don't tend to want to eat bird poo, so by making itself look that way, it can avoid being eaten.
Oh, that's amazing. If you think about
some of these photos are really, if you didn't know it was a frog, you would think it was bird poo.
But this unknown person asked us about it. Either they were being funny, making something that actually exists.
Could have been.
Or they really knew their stuff.
Yep.
Thinking
about it now, folk are asking us now. In some cases, maybe they're hoping to learn what's changed since their time.
True.
Because some of these are more recent developments for us, yeah. But with the bird poo frog, I think there haven't been any recent developments.
No, but it's still pretty impressive. Like, you see what all the technology can do, but check out what nature can do. You can make frogs look like bird poo. I hadn't thought of that. Okay, I'm going to pick one more. Backstreet Boys. This came from Mikkel. Mikkel asked us about Backstreet Boys.
Sure.
I looked it up, but I didn't really need to because it's one of the most popular bands ever. That was my addition. Like I said, that one of the most popular bands ever. What Alipedia said, it's the number 4 band as far as records is concerned, and it recently passed the Beatles.
Right.
As far as most records sold.
Yeah.
And they're still
going.
very popular.
Releasing new songs.
Yeah. That helps.
That does help. Yeah, the Beatles haven't released anything in a while, so.
Yeah.
I've got one last one I'd like to do here. So, Annika asks us to look up Judge Dredd. Okie dokie, one sec. Okay, this is one I didn't know. The former president of Croatia was Judge Dredd, and that's the only. You see, sometimes there's more than one entry, but in this case, that's the only entry we have.
Okay. Former president of Croatia.
Presumably also a judge.
I guess, yeah.
Before becoming president.
Or
could it be their name?
Yeah, I guess. Just last name Dredd, first name Judge.
Sure.
Yeah, that's maybe typical Croatian names.
Yeah.
I mean, this fly is now getting really on my nerves. So it's. I
don't want to advocate violence, but is there any way you can get it out of here? Maybe
I can
swipe it aside.
I can let me try to swat it.
That sounds violent, but
yeah, but I'm just trying to stun it because it's now.
Okay.
Okay, now it's okay. I got it.
You got it, and that did not sound like a fly.
Let me.
What was that?
So it's now laying in the corner.
Yeah. You bring it over here?
Yeah.
Huh.
So this doesn't look like a fly.
I mean,
actually.
like crudely. I mean, it has the form of a fly, but now that it hit the floor, it's kind of broken apart, and we can see it's a little robot.
Mentally,
yeah, like a tiny little robot fly.
Okay, let's go take a look at it, but then off air.
Right. Let's wrap this up, and we can have a look.
All right.
I'll say the usual closing. I think I may not have said it last time. Anyways, folk listening to us 200 years ago, please send us an email. Letting us know that you heard this. That way we'll know we successfully sent it back in time. You can send the email to michaellasagna5@gmail.com, and please put in the subject line the number 112 so we know that this episode specifically went back successfully. And if you have any other questions, Alipedia or otherwise, feel free to write those in the email.
Exactly. Then thanks for listening, and see you in 200 years.
Bye-bye.